to play a lane phase out, and perhaps that's something that Liyab will want to use in their favor here, as we are about to head into Champion Select.
And the go-to bans, it seems, Graves once again going to be banned out, River not wanting to play it, and they don't want to give that one over to Doidoi. It's been a little bit since we've seen Doidoi on something a heavy carrier. Maybe we'll see it here in this matchup. The Kalista also going to be banned out, as well as the Varus. Do we get to see that Aphelios ban into Unified?
So I'm thinking about Aphelios here alongside the Varus and the Kalista, but also there's Ezreal to round out that kind of 4 elite 80 carry tier. So maybe we just trade the Aphelios for the Ezreal again, but that's a mistake that Marchi made yesterday, and we all know how that turned out for them versus PSG.
All right, so the Nidalee, though, has been drawing a couple bans toward River. People are respecting the pickup when it came to its performance back at the mid-season showdown, and once again, it's getting banned out here in their third game of the split.
Honestly, thinking about the jungle pool right now, as I said yesterday, we can play anything. You can use Fiddlesticks, you can use Olaf, you can use Kindred, a couple of tanks here and there if need be as well. And honestly, with Rex bringing the Karma to the table, it allows for some of these more riskier, aggressive junglers to come out of Doidoi's wheelhouse.
All right, so the Twisted Fate, though, is actually going to draw a ban. Maybe, you know, Liyab didn't check who was playing, because Candy, actually, we haven't seen that come out of him, unless, you know, Candy's, like, learning from, you know, Tank in the mid lane that he's maybe picked up that Twisted Fate. Yeah, maybe, but that does mean that Aphelios locked in immediately here for Unified.
Okay, and then here's where we think, do we want to take Ezreal or Ashe against this? Because we can just not play lane phase against it, and hopefully clinch out a victory before the Aphelios just pops off in these team fights. You don't need to go 80 carry first rotation here if you're Liyab, though, can secure a priority jungler, and even hover that Karma mid that we mentioned before. Could also run that Karma bot lane with an Ezreal for a really dominant anti-Aphelios lane.
Might be the case, and it has a little bit of flex in there. We'll see whether or not they want to put that down for Mocha, or if they want to run it on Rex once again. And like you mentioned, that gives kind of full reign over to Doidoi, who is going to be on the Trundle pickup here for their second game.
I'm not entirely sold on this Trundle if the Karma is mid, because that is not a 2v2 that really does anything. Basically having dual supports for your mid-jungle duo, not really the thing you want to see when you're against a team as volatile as PSG and a mid-jungle duo as devastating as River and Candy.
And for River, he's going to have his favorite go-to champion. It's going to be his Lee Sin now up against Liyab, and we'll see whether or not, though, if Doidoi can maybe find that early invade. We kind of saw it back in the previous game at the start of the day, being with Resurgence when they went for that invade and trying to get a cheeky steal. But for Candy here, falling back onto one of his favorites, possibly the Zoe in mid.
I think maybe we should see the Zoe locked in. LeBlanc would have also been fine. Lee Sin, LeBlanc, probably the best mid-jungle 2v2 in the meta right now, but Zoe certainly no slouch, and you do deny the Zoe from the team that is going to probably lock in an Ezreal, because Zoe, Ezreal, as we very well know, have been so dominant together. Now, thinking about what Liyab can take here, if the Karma is going to go mid, then maybe look towards Yuumi in the bot lane for Mocha, even if he is more of a playmaker than a facilitator, or just run the Karma in the bot lane with that Ezreal for a decent lane phase.
And you do see that Thresh is being banned out here from Liyab, so that might be telegraphing, hey, we don't want to really run into that hard engage in that bot lane if we do decide to bring in this Karma for Mocha. We'll see what that plan is going to be, as LeBlanc is going to be taken away from Rex.
Yeah, LeBlanc into Zoe, a skill matchup through and through, honestly, and with Syndra already being knocked out, I keep drawing back to this narrative of there being that trinity of mid laners, and yeah, if one's taken away, you do want to kind of either take one for yourself or start banning them out. And now with that actual LeBlanc ban coming through, it does seem to indicate that PSG are reading that it's going to be the Ezreal Karma bot lane.
Yeah, especially when you also have that Nautilus being banned out here from Liyab. It's screaming, okay, I do not want to get engaged upon onto our squishy member like our Karma, where Mocha could easily get blown up. Now for Liyab, what do they want to show in their hand? Do they want to show their top lane, or do you want to save that counter pick for the mid, which they already have the counter pick option with the Zoe being shown?
Yeah, you definitely want to hold top here unless there's a priority pick you want to take away. But given that Hanabi does have a really good you know, assortment of champions to choose from, we will probably see that top lane counter pick. And yeah, there's a support locked in, and it's what we mentioned.
Now that does kind of scream now here, Briz, though. It kind of makes it your support duo going up, your support jungle mid duo kind of strategy up against the hyper-aggressive Zoe Lee Sin that if they catch one person out, they're just going to blow them up.
This is basically saying, all right, Dawn, you look like our best player yesterday. We're going to draft 3 supports around you and hope for the best.
And that's also going to be the Renekton being shown too, so that's also a very nice, just easy blind pick for that top lane. And then Kanji, he has his, I guess, pick of the crop when it comes into this matchup against Hanabi, but I think Hanabi will just be fine because there isn't really many bad matchups for the Renekton right now.
I mean, we saw a couple of them potentially yesterday where the Quinn was banned out, but that is a Hanabi pocket pick. We saw the Jace from Hanabi as well being run into that Renekton. I like to run Rumble into it, but I run Rumble into everything. A lot of these top laners will just drop GP, Aatrox, and also you do have to consider, though, that Liyab really do need some damage. So, yeah, maybe we'll see GP. Unlikely to see a tank. Could very well see that Aatrox that we did mention.
And on top of that, too, it's been a while since we've seen this. Is actually going to be Kaiwing on a Senna. So instead of going for something that would likely roam a bunch like that Thresh, because it was banned out, as well as that Nautilus, opting to be something that's like, all right, you know what, we're going to try and play lane in lane and try and go toe-to-toe against Dawn and Mocha.
Yeah, and the thing about the Senna in the support role, is the fact that, you know, the champion not really taken as a support because she likes having people peel for her so she can free cast. That's why you see it with the Tahm Kench, you see it with the Maokai. The thing about running it in the support role is that typically you'll see the enemy team just pile onto it, but when you look at the Liyab comp, it's all about that poke that you mentioned. There's a distinct lack of hard engage, so the Senna not really going to be under too much threat at all come the lane phase, and especially come these mid-game team fights.
And the mid-game team fights, too, for me, was where we saw a lot of Liyab start to fall apart, especially after that lane phase that we did see. It didn't look too bad, but it feels like the team is still lacking a clear shot caller when it comes to what they need to do past that 15-minute mark, when they need to start locking down objectives like the Rift Heralds, like the Dragons, and even some of those gutsy Baron calls. We are, though, going to go ahead and load on into the Rift. PSG looking for their 3rd win in the first week, looking to go undefeated. Liyab at least trying to go 50-50 with a win here. It's a tough hill to climb as they're going up against the current champions of the PCS. We'll see whether or not they're able to pull off the miracle as we load on into the Rift.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
Ducks and cats in my river. What has League of Legends turned into? That's a question everyone likes to answer in Season 10. But
I mean,
nonetheless.
Season 10, I bring this up every time. One trick rumble here, and you know why? That champion has not changed at all since Season 1. That is 9 years of gameplay experience, you know?
The exact same champion.
Rather.
You know, exact same champion, practically, just tweaking the numbers here and there. Of course, this is the first time we're seeing PSG today. We did see them back-to-back yesterday during our opening. I know a lot of people are probably saying, PSG in the PCS, not what a lot of people. Trust me, I didn't expect to see this name when we started the season, but of course, the partnership between them and Talon bringing a new life into the region with the inaugural season of the PCS, as it's going to be jungle starts on the top side of the map for both teams.
I mean, it's cool that you mentioned partnerships, just because, looking at the bot lane, these are supports that don't leave their AD carries in lane. And this is really weird because when prepping for this match, when looking at yesterday's games, we were like, all right, these are playmaking supports. They'll roam around. They'll do everything that they can. Kaiwing, Mocha, they will snowball the rest of the team through the map. And yet now you have Senna, who sits AFK in lane, right-clicking people occasionally, and Yuumi, who literally just jumps on someone and doesn't let go.
you know, sometimes you hit the odd Q here or there, and sometimes you kind of have to play like a little mini game with your AD carry. But other than that, no, literally, you can go down to the store and, you know, pick up a quick drink and then come back and be like, oh, we're at a lane phase. I guess it's time to use my ultimate. But yeah, I think it's a bit of a stark contrast, and then it provides, I think, now a lot more of the responsibility for these teams in the form of their jungles having to make an impact elsewhere on the map.
Yeah, and speaking of the jungles here, just looking at the fact that we see buff, gromp, buff for both of them, that is pretty standard for Trundle just because he's very prolific as a single target damage-dealing jungler, so needs those camps that don't have too much on-demand AoE clear like the Raptors or the Krugs. That's why you see him do those last, after he gets a couple of levels in his other spells. And the Lee Sin mirroring that is actually, I guess, River just reading the fact that he does have the luxury of doing this, knowing that his lanes aren't going to be under pressure for at least a little while.
You already see there Hanabi looking to maybe set up a possible trap to see whether or not Dodo is actually going to try and go for the scuttle, but we'll see here as he's actually waiting for it to spawn, and now Dodo is going to spot this out with the Bloom. Hanabi now realizing, all right, Dodo is nearby, so I guess a little bit of a cheeky play that was read well by Dodo.
Leashed well by Hanabi as well. Just
Yeah.
pretty happy that the Trundle gets a free crab there. It's a trade 1-for-1 across the board between the two of them, and actually the Trundle with a little bit of an experience lead, a little bit of a lead in terms of just map rotation right now, and that's why you should see him be able to get the first gank on the board if he so wishes.
Well, Hanabi, he's going to get knocked up by that Darken Blade, forced the flash away, looking to try and path his way a little all over the place, gets the stun, maybe try to bring it back. It's Hanabi playing mind games, it seems, but he does lose out on his flash.
He flashed towards the Trundle because he wanted to get the second proc on that Slice and Dice, and that's why you see him actually move back into the Trundle and the Aatrox before hitting that E. Because, of course, Renekton, you only get that second dash if you hit someone with the first part of it.
You know, some high, big Hanabi IQ plays possibly when it comes to him looking to escape. Still ends up having to burn his summoner, so maybe we'll see Doi try and make another appearance toward this top lane as Kanji's able to crash the wave.
I mean, the onus is on Hanabi to actually make Kanji's lane phase hell right now, because there's not a lot that you can do bot lane when it's Ezreal or Yumi. That's super safe. Karma, very much uninteractive in that lane as well. Just shove out, do whatever you can. But because the Liyab topside got the flash of this Renekton, it looks like they may fish for something else, while River is still farming on this Lee Sin.
Well, we'll see here. Hanabi now up in this top lane, has to use the pillar, and that might be first blood going in favor of Liyab as Doi will secure the kill.
That was just clumsy, I'd say, from Hanabi. I didn't quite catch where the Slice and Dice was there, but in the end of the day, it's about as useful as this Lee Sin has been so far. River just power farming on this Lee Sin. It's not really the kind of expectations you'd have of this champion, but sure, really, really, really nice play coming through from Doi and Kanji here to capitalize on this. And actually, Hanabi gave first blood top lane in PSG's opening game against Machi, so maybe this does set a weird precedent for the all-star top laner of our reigning champions.
Well, meanwhile, mid lane, you see Rex there able to get the tether. Doi still sitting nearby. River is nearby as well, but he's on top of a ward, so Doi knows exactly what's going to happen. They also brought in Mocha. In they go, in onto Candy, able to get that root into the Q, and once again, forcing out the flash. Candy able to get himself back to safety, but that is both summoners used.
Two things I really like there. One is that Doi just shadows his laners. That's what the Trundle likes to do. And now we have the roaming supports.
Here we go, roaming support. You say, you know what, Senna never really leaves the lane. Well, Kaiwing says, no, I will do it myself. Kanji tried to go for the 1v1, and I'll give it to Liyab here. They're taking it to PSG, at least in the early game.
Yep, that is what we wanted to see. Go blow for blow with this team that will punish you through and through, and then transition yourself towards your mid to late game comfort zone. But here's a contest again.
Well, I've seen this one before. It seems to be the Battle of the Scuttles as Doi just able to get his auto attack in before the snare lands, and maybe even looking to try and turn it back. I think he's just trying to be an annoyance here on this Trundle.
Yeah, and I'm looking at PSG now to be a little more proactive in what they're doing. River does connect the Q onto Mocha there, but doesn't really want to follow up on it. And we're now just looking for PSG to kind of pick up the pieces here, because your Renekton should never really be falling behind into the Aatrox matchup. You need to start being proactive to salvage that lane, so you actually have a top side that you can play through.
I like how Kanji in this matchup also said, well, you know what? If you have an Executioners, I have an Executioners too, at least when it comes to this matchup. I don't care about your healing. River, though, going to be the first one to strike when it comes to neutral objectives. It looks like his PSG is able to secure the Mountain Drake with no contest from Liyab.
I mean, we're looking at the top laners and their Executioners, and you also have to look at the bot lane, because Kaiwing has rushed that out as well. And that is just testament to how much healing is present on the Liyab comp in particular. You have Aatrox, you have Yuumi, Karma to a degree, I suppose, especially with that Athene's Rush. Trundle as well. Like, all of these champions individually kind of demand some healing reduction, and when you have all of them together, suddenly that 800 gold tax doesn't seem so awful after all.
Yeah, and speaking toward the bot lane, because you saw the roaming of both supports, we said, you know, they're always going to be attached to their AD carries. Well, Dawn actually had to go into the 1v1 against Unified, and we are starting to see him slip a little bit when it comes to the CS game, as Dawn already teleported back into lane and is forced to go back to base.
Yeah, the Ezreal into the Aphelios matchup isn't actually easy to navigate, let's put it like that, especially with the supports just kind of leaving them alone, because of course heal versus TP is a combat spell to no combat spell, and the fact that the Ezreal just likes to poke from a prolonged distance, then stack up that Conqueror, and maybe fish for an all-in later on.
And that's already now Unified, able to claim 4 turret plates before 10 minutes in this bot lane, so even though Liyab found themselves the first blood, overall gold advantage still in favor of PSG, mainly on this Aphelios.
And I was actually going to say PSG perhaps will lose priority over this Herald, just because Senna's basically allergic to leaving lane too often, because she always wants to trade aggressively and get some souls generated. But because PSG are like, alright, no, we don't care for that, we'll just opt into the Herald anyway, they're now rotating up, and yeah, they're losing souls, but they're gonna gain this big neutral objective.
Oh man, this is the most heavy roaming support Senna and Yuumi I've probably seen in a very long time. As Moko went up to the top lane, he's like, I'll help out Kanji to try and make it so his lane's any better, but he's only level 5. He doesn't even have his ultimate to help out.
Like, went up top, pressed W onto the Aatrox, got out, and base. I guess we can kind of justify it in the fact that maybe Liyab were looking to do a Herald of their own, and as soon as that went down, they were like, alright, let's just make the decisive call. Don't even try and pick up the pieces there. Just back off and reset to a more favorable lane state. So I understand why they did that, but at the same time, it does feel like a bit of an underestimation from our red side team.
And this forces now Dawn. He has to sit back. He's not really confident enough to push on forward. And the fact that turret's only 1 plate away from being taken down here, you know, Unified's just having the time of his life. He's like, all right, yeah, 10 CS per minute, 100 CS at 10 minutes. Let's see. Doi get into a little bit of a tussle. A nice little route there coming out from Mocha, and that will be River able to secure the blue buff.
In pre-game, I voiced my concerns for the mid-jungle 2v2 from this Liyab team in particular, but it's been all about the support jungle 2v2 so far. You see the coordinated invades, you see the coordinated damage, and you see a tier 1 bot turret that is dangerously low, even without the Herald being popped so far.
And you can see, even with River and Kaiwing being there, and they see where Candy is on the map, they are willing to forego and let go of this tower. Maybe for not much longer. River gets taken down to a bit half health. Unify wants to try and maybe turn this back around. Rex gets caught out toward the side, getting a little bit of damage on the Kaiwing. Unfortunately, he's got nowhere to run, ends up flashing very late, and now that is going to be a disaster here for Liyab as they give over their first kill of the game, and it may not be over as Candy still hunting, wanting to get in onto the action, picks up the flash away that was left by the Karma, and that alone will be first brick going on over to the bot lane of PSG.
Yeah, really clumsy flash from Rex there. Either you flash earlier before you run into the Lee Sin, or you don't flash at all. At the end of the day though, the Liyab mid laner dies, the bot lane tier 1 dies, and this is not looking like a fun top matchup for Kanji anymore either.
Yeah, you see Hanabi starting to get a bit aggressive, and I swear I've seen this exact Rex flash before back in spring multiple times where he's pathing down the river. He knows exactly where PSG are at the moment, but decides to wait until the last second before he dies to flash.
I mean, a solo Senna is a very juicy and appealing target, considering the fact you can, like, 3-hit her on a good day. But at the same time, yeah, that was just an overextension from Rex, and it does put Liyab in a bit of an awkward position now. Note that Herald is still available for River.
Let's see. Doidoi's going to get taken on down as River's able to find it. A nice route also coming out from Kaiwing. Moonlight Visual will not connect, and Kanji gets taken down. That's a double kill onto the Lee Sin.
I have no idea how you get flanked by a support Senna from your tier 2 top lane while the tier 1 is still up, but sure, I'll take it any day of the week. Kaiwing gets in the face of Liyab, and I criticized River for being fairly quiet on his early game rotations. Well, it's still early game now technically, and he's done fantastically the past 3 minutes.
Well, if you want to know why, you can take a look. There's absolutely no vision in the jungle of Liyab, and this has been something that has happened multiple times before that they have just not adjusted when it comes to their playstyle back in spring.
In their defense, I don't really expect a support Senna to come from my top lane tier 2, but at the same time, yeah, it's a bit clumsy, especially since you know for a fact PSG have abandoned the bot push, given the fact they've already taken that turret. Drake being spawned up again though, and it looks like we're gonna see a bit of a clash, but Liyab again, now a little bit more respectful of PSG's potential skirmish ability.
I would be a little bit concerned because, you know, it may be 3-1 in the kill count, but it's almost a 5,000 gold lead in favor of PSG before we've even hit 15 minutes. There hasn't been a whole lot of action other than the one skirmish here and there, but they've been able to now farm up advantages. You have a decent amount of turret plates picked up before now 14 minutes, and it feels like Liyab are just kind of getting outclassed in the lanes.
I'm gonna laugh if Candy goes for Morello's as the second item on the Zoe as well.
Here we
because look
go.
at these executions.
Liyab want to try and jump in, but again, the Senna just able to regen all this health back, and Hanabi onto the back line, and oh my lord, they are ripping apart Liyab within their own jungle, as that's going to be 3 kills in favor of PSG.
3 kills, 3 executioners callings, and 3 executions there. Really good pickup from PSG. They find their way in there, and they get the entire bot side of Liyab just taken off the board entirely. Karma, Ezreal, notoriously difficult to lock down, to say nothing of Yuumi, who's untargetable half the time, and yet PSG, zero regard for that, just dispatch key members of Liyab's comp and look to make this mid-tier 1 history while they're at it.
And unfortunately, too, last time we saw Kanji, he was on this Aatrox once again, and the fact that he's now fallen behind in lane, he doesn't really offer a whole lot to the team. It starts off here with Liyab feeling like they have the advantage.
Yeah, Kaiwing out of position, as we mentioned. When you isolate the support Senna, she should theoretically just insta-die, but a ton of sustain comes through, they heal from the Aphelios, the full rotation of the Senna. Kaiwing, not untouchable, but certainly under no threat, especially when you look at the fact that support mid laner, support, and an AD carry that's still ramping up in relevance. It's a really, really difficult ask to even knock down the super squishy support of PSG.
Well, that's the thing. You kind of ask, where is the damage for Liyab? Well, it's, you know, in the future in about 20 minutes once Dawn is able to pick up a couple items. But, you know, Kanji's still sitting on components at the moment, only has his completed boots. He isn't going to be doing a whole lot himself, and it kind of felt like this draft has come back to bite Liyab pretty hard because we're not going to see any damage from them. And I don't think we're going to get to the point where we even get to that damage because I think PSG is going to end the game.
Yeah, gonna need about 3 items on the Ezreal before he even starts to contest some of these PSG members. And let me tell you something, Opal. There is no member I fear of the PCS more than Unified when he's rocking multiple assists. It feels like he quietly just, you know, participates in these fights, and then one explosive team fight later, he shows up and gets all of the kills for himself, especially on this signature Aphelios.
And there we go. He's also got himself the Shuriken set up, so if they want to, they can just hard push in onto this, even using the Moonlight Visual to zone away Rex, and there you go. They can just shred through this tower with Kaiwing also running Demolish.
Yeah, zone away, Rex. Definitely wasn't looking for that kill and loved the ultimate, but hey, we take it. It's PSG's first game of the day. Cut them some slack, and yeah, I'm happy with how that turned out for them, regardless of, you know, what they could have gotten on top of it.
Like, other than the one good play from Doidoi on that Trundle, getting that early kill on Hanabi, and it looked like a really good start there for Liyab. It looked pretty promising. You now look at the fact it's now an 8,000 gold lead. That's 17 minutes just by the fact that PSG has been able to just push out these lanes, get all these towers, and we have not seen an answer from the Philippine squad.
And this is actually reminiscent of PSG's opening game versus Marchi, as I said, because this was exactly what happened to them there, where Hanabi had an arguably winning match up top, gets killed 5 minutes in from the first gank of the enemy jungler, and then suddenly PSG are like, nah, we'll win regardless of the state of top lane. We will just snowball through neutral objectives, and we'll snowball through all of the kills in the world.
Now we see Kanji has to back off to safety, unfortunately. He sees multiple members of PSG. They even popped the Rift Herald for second tier tower in mid lane. And as this is going here, there's less and less options on the side of Liyab. There's going to be a point where they need to fight, but they're already so far behind. I don't think it matters, as they're now going to get a charge in onto the inhibitor tower.
The more upsetting thing for me, just on a micro perspective, is that this is a Lee Sin that had Herald in his inventory, like, consecutively for like 6-7 minutes straight, given the fact he had first and second. And yet he has maxed out on items, so this is a Lee Sin that can't ward hop, basically didn't have a W for the past 7 minutes, and still managed to rack up 5 kills.
Well, that's the thing. He's not even running a sweeper at this point. He has to keep his trinket on the yellow ward so that he can actually ward hop here. And you can see there's just a lack of vision coverage coming out. Over the wall, River wants to go, and boom, gets the kick. Immediately deletes Dawn. And PSG, they aren't playing around. They're looking to speedrun this game here against Liyab.
Yeah, the first opportunity he had to ward hop in the past, as we said, 6-7 minutes, and he uses it masterfully. Comes in with the flank around that bot lane tier 2, isolates the only damage threat on this Liyab squad, as we mentioned time and time again, and once dawn is dusk, it is the end of the day for Liyab. Wow, that was clean. I didn't even know where that was going, but that was clean. That was. I'm proud of that one. I'm sorry.
You got it. You know what? You don't need to be sorry. It's a 10,000 gold lead. Let's take a look back on the replay. It's just like River knows the exact target he's going for.
Yeah, the snare connected from Kaiwing as well, so that was pretty nicely played by the support of PSG. And again, it's all about the playmaking that comes through from the jungle support duo of PSG, even when not necessarily on the most, arguably impactful champions from your initial first glance.
And unfortunately, this is now the second game that we've seen so far in summer, Liyab's only second game, where Rex has been put onto Karma duty. And we even saw this playstyle a couple times come out from Spring, where, you know what, we feel like he has a bit more impact when he goes on something like a carry in that mid lane, where he can assist Doidoi and try and make action happen early in that jungle 2v2, whereas now he's just kind of, a walking shield bot where he isn't able to do a whole lot. And oh no.
I mean, as we said, this is a little bit precarious. But as we said in draft, and calling back to yesterday with that Ashe performance from Dawn, this guy looked like the only serviceable carry of Liyab, and that's why they've drafted entirely around him. But now, even looking at Dawn's build, he's going for the Gauntlet as his second item. That is not a damage-focused Ezreal build when he is the single focal point of damage of this lineup, and it looks like the game is just falling out of Liyab's hands massively, whether that's immediately through PSG's pressure or in the long term because they're frazzled and bulking under everything.
Like, sure, you can be unkillable, but it doesn't mean you'll be able to kill the opposing team. You'll just be walking back in underneath your base turret, as now that's the inhibitor in mid starting to fall here. Kanji wants to maybe try and make something happen. Doidoi just pops in, of course, the ground, but Rex is going to get snared up, also gets taken down. River thinking about a kick, but does not have the flash available. PSG are happy, though, taking down the inhib at 21 minutes.
Yeah, PSG with the post 20-minute inhib, you usually don't want to take that too earlier because it gives the team that are behind a little bit more time to farm off of those super creeps before you can end. But with that inhib take, it does suggest to me that PSG are looking for a clean 25-ish minute victory. Could even see one sooner if they continue at the breakneck pace they're currently accelerating at.
And you get into this later part of the game where, well, the insurance was on the side of PSG. You have Unified. That's going to be the one ripping apart your team. And we still have yet to see him actually pop off in the fights. Like you mentioned, he's been slowly, quietly farming up, injecting all his gold into the carry, getting assist here and there, and now he's on his 2.5 items and looking toward his third.
Yeah, and the one redeeming factor for Liyab in the current game state is that PCS Summer 2020 has unfortunately stood for probably Cloud Soul Summer 2020 so far this this tournament. Yeah, it feels like that's every game so far, just Cloud Soul, Cloud Soul, Cloud Soul, and that's not a game-winning soul if I ever did see one.
Yeah, you know, you get a little bit extra move speed, but you already have that with Rex, so I guess you get to go faster as you run into your death. I don't know if that's your exact thing you're looking to do. As Liyab, best they can do right now is try and push back the mid lane, but that's just going to allow Candy in the top to try and get pressure, and they have to deal now with the side lane.
Yeah, fishing for picks with Senna, Lee Sin, a little bit of a tall order, but they'll do it anyway.
Ooh, still trying to hunt him down. Kanji gets taken down low, but he will be able to find himself to safety, even with the Avelio's ultimate. They're not able to take him down, and man, does it feel bad to be killed from a screen away by 3 members of PSG.
Yeah, a ton of range and poke potential coming through from PSG's comp, but Liyab, they weather the storm of so many huge cooldowns committed and are able to escape with their lives, and that's why they're going for a fight now.
Final chapter comes out, but unfortunately the angle is just not there. Teleport's going to come out as well from Hanabi, leading the charge on this Renekton, and they find Doi Doi. The Trundle will fall, and River goes godlike. Rex forced to flash away, and PSG now looking to push in with super minions.
It looked really promising when Liyab survived the huge commitment from PSG, but one Aphelios turret later and everything just falls apart for them.
And that is a clean-looking game, minus the 1 kill given over at the beginning of the game. Maybe make it the second one, but no, Hanabi refuses to die. PSG were close to having a perfect game against Liyab. And Liyab, they're getting killed and slaughtered on their fountain as they'll end their week 0-2 as they fall to PSG.
And you say close to perfect game, besides Hanabi's courtesy first blood that he seems to have donated in a past couple of games at least, like even looking back at Spring, it's routine at this point, but it's not something that shakes PSG. Whether it's this game, whether it was last game, just complete dominance as soon as they decide to pull the trigger.
Yeah, unfortunately there, like, it looked good for the first 5 minutes of the game. I'm going to give that to Liyab. Doi Doi, he's like, all right, you know what? Hanabi, let's get a first blood. Kanji gets an assist. Cool. Looking good, because we were kind of concerned. You know, you have yourself a Trundle, you have a Karma. It's more or less on Doi Doi to try and make something happen on the top side of the map. But then past that, we're like, wait a sec. Okay, now Mocha's trying to roam. And I'm sorry, like Mocha wasn't nearly as effective with his roams compared to Kaiwing, who on this Senna was able to impact mid as well as a bunch of jungle fights.
To be fair, it is quite hard to lose the game in the first 5 minutes when you have Karma continually shoving, you have Ezreal, Yuumi just chilling back. And yeah, as you said, it looked promising in the top lane in particular, because that was where the only real volatility of this Liyab playmaking potential really was, especially for these early stages. And they started off wonderfully. They got the wave shoved in after getting a kill. They got the wave shoved in before they got that kill as well, and just continually applied pressure on Hanabi while River was just AFK farming. But it was too little in the long term for it to actually amount to anything past that initial first blood.
Yeah, I love how, you know, we were kind of giving some, you know, hate on over there to River as he was power farming. He ends up finishing the game, what, it was like 7-0 and like 4 on the bloody Lee Sin near himself was looking good. And it was like, at this point, like, if you're getting slaughtered at 6 minutes like this, it doesn't feel good. MVP gonna go over to River.
8. And oh, not 7, 8. But yeah, I'll take it, honestly. Yeah, really clean play. And as you said, actually pretty cool that he managed to get 81% kill participation for himself. When you mentioned in that game, members of Liyab were getting picked off from 2 screens away, and Lee Sin is not one of those champions that just shreds you from miles and miles away. So yeah, credit for River for getting in that action, even if it did take him, you know, 5-6 minutes to actually warm up and get himself prepared.
You know what he said? You know, he just said, I didn't want to get left out, all right? He said, just give me a couple minutes, let me get my, you know, ultimate online, and then all will be fair. So, PSG, they finish off their week with a 3-0 record. Liyab, unfortunately, got to start somewhere, and it is going to be from the bottom, it seems, as they are going to go 0-2 on their opening week. Not the end of the world, though. Of course, this is a double round robin. There is still 16 games of League of Legends to play out before we even think about playoffs, so still a lot of time to recover and try and find the identity of this Philippine squad.
Yeah, not only that, but also think about strength of schedule. It was against Marchi and it was against PSG. Two of our top three, that trifecta of elite teams from spring, really gonna put a bit of a damper on Liyab's mood. But at the same time, this is footage they can review and hopefully, you know, augment their play with heading into the further weeks.
对，他只是再完整一点而已。没错。那当然，这场比赛要先问你第一个问题哦。那三娜现在主流还是拿来当 AD 角色，你们这场其实是亚菲利欧，然后配上了三娜，那你们为什么会在最后一选的时候 pick 出三娜呢？
So most people still use Senna as their AD carry, but after you guys chose Aphelios for your first pick for ADC, you guys still choose Senna. So why do you guys make that decision? Why do you use it together?
因为我本身就很喜欢 Senna 这个英雄，然后我在昨天的时候，我突然发现好像 Senna 最近出了一个很帅的造型，然后我今天本来是想试用那个造型的，但是我发现一锁下去的时候，好像比赛那个版本还没人用到那个造型，所以让我有点失望了。
So I like Senna as a champion, and yesterday I found out that Senna has a new skin, but later I realized we're not in the same patch, so we're not there yet, so I wasn't able to use that skin.
哦，那一定是我们的锅嘛，对不对？我们不能给他用，这我们很抱歉，对。但你希望接下来可以做使用啦。应该做可以了。对，那接下来我们要请问一下，因为下半部的位置，今天这一场比赛看起来珊娜跟亚菲利欧的配合其实是非常不错的。那你可以分享一下，还有哪些的角色可以配合亚菲利欧吗？
So what other champions is good to use with Aphelios on the bot lane?
我自己觉得配阿菲利欧英雄可能大概有瑟雷西、拉蒂鲁斯、布朗姆、布拉德、优米这种啊，勉强一点还有露露，我觉得这几个辅助英雄配合阿菲利欧是蛮不错的选择。
So I think Yuumi, Bard, Thresh, Nautilus, and maybe Lulu are pretty good with Aphelios on the bot lane.
哇，那看起来这个配合性上特别多了，
怪不得大家一直选嘛。
没错，对。那我们非常谢谢凯文，也恭喜 PSG 拿下这一场比赛。我们的访问也告一个段落。那在这场的对决的话，确实我们也了解到，今天的对决这个 PSG 本身在。
As you heard, Kaiwing, the only reason he played Senna was because he wanted to use the new skin, and he forgot we're still on 10.11 until next week. I don't know if that's BM, or if just PSG just kind of rolled in and they're like, yeah, autopilot, let's go. We got dinner ready in 20.
Yeah, okay. I was like, yes, Louis Vuitton Senna, but then no, it's the High Noon one. That was the one he wanted. Yeah. He really wanted the High Noon one. Okay.
He used a professional League of Legends game to just do something he could have looked at skin spotlights for if he really wanted to. So nonetheless, PSG, I bloody love this team sometimes. We are going to go for a short break. When we come back, though, it is going to be our matchup between Machi and Berjaya Dragon. Stick around. We'll be back after a short break.